Okay, today we are playing a game on VoD. The SR in this game is not really a thing because it's a quick play game, and we will be playing Hanzo on attack and Junkrat on defense, which I bet is not what you expected to hear today. But yeah, so we're just gonna start immediately, because it's a quick play game, team's fucked, whatever, you know, it's how it is, it's a quick play game, it tends to be so. So we're playing Hanzo. This is two quick play games put together, by the way, so we're playing both sides of VoD. So we've shot our Sonic Arrow over there. Specific feedback being looked for was how to use the Sonic Arrow. And basically that's a fine time to use it, but we're standing in a bit of an awkward position where we can't actually really hit very many people because the arch is kind of in the way. Because most people tend to collect over on this side of the archway, so if we're standing up here, we don't really get to see many people. We see Mercy right here, and we almost get to pick her off, but people tend to be over on this side, so we don't really get much from being over here. And we've got infrasight on all those people over there as well, but we can't shoot any of them because of where we're standing, which is a bit awkward. So we're coming up here now. This is going to feel real sad for Genji. Oh, feels good though to be Hanzo. So this is a scary place to stand because exactly that can happen. So, I mean, if we get an opportunity to stand up here, that's great. It's kind of annoying for them to shoot us if they're at ground level. But we do have to be careful of people coming up on the side on us like that and just kind of killing us. By the way, we're on console. Just realized, forgot to say, if that bothers you, because I've just noticed that we have some strange hieroglyphics under our abilities. I don't know what they are. I think that one's called a triangle. I don't know. So we've gotten back in time to take part in this fight. Maze used Blizzard. That's alright. We're all the way over here. They do have a Pharah, but that surprisingly is not really an issue for us this game as Hanzo, which you would normally expect it to be. They do also have a Symmetra, which makes things a little bit more complicated during this part because people are reinforcing quite quickly. However, their team is also terrible, so it's not too much of an issue. We have Dragon Strike. We don't have anything to combo Dragon Strike with, so we just kind of shoot it at the point. There's not actually that many people on the point, and they can just kind of get out of the way. This is a good use of Sonic Arrow, so we can try and kill somebody as soon as the wall disappears. Unfortunately, the person who was nearby we didn't actually manage to kill. This is now a scary place to stand because we're standing where the enemy team reinforces from. So if somebody like Junkrat pops out behind us, they're going to kill us because we're also not full HP while we're standing in there. If you're the attacking team, it's generally a bad place to stand in that hallway because, well, that happens. Unless no one on their team actually dies, but then you got other issues, I suppose. So we're back now. Never actually managed to get a foothold in there. This game's quite long, as you might see. So we get there. Don't worry, we get there in the end. So Reinhardt's up to some shit right now. That's not a traditionally legal maneuver, but he has in fact gotten away with it. If you see a Reinhardt standing up, like this is an unusual circumstance, but if you see a Reinhardt standing up there, that's what he's going to do. We get the Pharah, which feels real good, but Reinhardt's doing that and he kills us for it. But it's okay, no mercies in the game, so we get to live again anyway. Was not a legal maneuver for Reinhardt, so even though he killed us, he's now also died. We don't hit very many scatter skills in this game, which is also quite sad. Why did we use Sonic Arrow? Where did we use that? We used it right there. Well, because they're losing ground, not many people are going to be standing over here at this point, so the Sonic Arrow is better shot more, like, in this, like, that's not a good place, and it's hard to draw. Okay, there we go, we turned around. More like here would be a better place, because if they've lost two people, one of which is their main tank, they're going to start falling back towards the point, so putting it, like, here, or there, or if we're going to come around that way, maybe, well, probably more like that. Then we can see where there more people, because that's going to be where the majority of people are actually going. Because we want to have we want to be able to see where people are actually going to be standing, rather than where not very many people are standing. The only person the infrasight actually sees is May. And we get into a bit of an awkward scuffle with her. Didn't quite kill her with our skill, unfortunate. They are sort of losing momentum at this point, though. We are using it in the Sonic Arrow just to basically try and duel this Mei, which is fair enough. You want to use it when you're dueling someone sometimes, but I don't know, I don't consider a Mei to be a worthwhile candidate because we could just elect not to deal with this, basically. We opt into fighting Mei, and we're kind of really close to Mei, so unless we're gonna shoot her in the head or hit her with our skill, it's not really going to go very well for us anyways. We just launch this dragon at the point, which people very rarely actually see coming, and we do quite a lot of damage with it, because people kind of forget about it. They're kind of like, that feels real good. They're kind of like, oh, where the fuck did the dragon go? And then like 10 seconds later the dragon appears, and they're like, oh fuck, there's the dragon. We actually have pretty decent aim with Hanzo, actually, especially considering we're playing on a console right now as well, so it's pretty good. So we've finally gotten control of the point. We use Sonic Arrow here, I think, when it comes off cooldown to try and kill Mei. We got the Widowmaker, but she got us. It probably looks real good from her perspective, actually. Damn. I'm kind of impressed she even actually hit us at all, to be honest with you. But so, we can give it that one. We got Tracer hopping around now. Hanzo not that bad against Tracer, because Hanzo does a fucking lot of damage. Tracer can, of course, dodge, but, you know, that's true of basically everyone in the game. So we've now been walled off over here. We decide that we're just going to come up and around the wall. We're going to come up into the murder hole again. I could have sworn we shot the Sonic Arrow out somewhere. This is not really very helpful for us, because we have such a limited field of view through those. Down on the ground, easy money, free mercy. We get to... Winston's probably really upset about that one. He's been hitting it for like 3 days, and then we just plink it once and it breaks. Yeah, we use it here? No. He is a lucky man. There we go. We used the Sonic Arrow there. Torbjorn, I knew we threw it into that room eventually. That's not a very good use of Sonic Arrow, because... Are we really concerned about the Torbjorn that's in that room? I'm not terribly concerned about the Torbjorn in that room. Now Mei's trying to fucking snipe us from up on top there. This is a pretty good use of Sonic Arrow, because we're trying to basically pick the Mei off, because she's trying some stuff she's not really allowed to do. But we didn't get her because we accidentally hit the wall. Generally, you don't want to use your ultimate when most of your team is, or some of your team are dead. Or if you're going to use your ultimate, you have to really, really think if you want to use it. People over there are being frozen right now. And we hear Reinhardt. Well, we kind of start ulting by the time we hear Reinhardt. If Mei's throwing her ult, it's probably going to kill people. And the dragon isn't immediately threatening enough to kind of make people give up on it, so not the best use of our ultimate. Mercy's probably really upset about that one, if I had to guess. Torbjorn's probably upset about that one, because no one ever feels particularly good when they get killed by Scatter skill. She's upset about that one also. Hanzo feels really overpowered when you see something like, oh, you just see a Hanzo kill like 3 people back to back like that. We killed like 4 people back to back. But, Hanzo has a bit of a consistency issue that I'm not gonna go into right now. So, we use Sonic Arrow over there. That seems to be where most of their team is kind of coming out of. So, that's fine, because we would like to kill them as they're trying to rush out onto the point, basically. We basically 100-0 the Torbjorn right there. Scatter Arrow makes Winston upset. We've played about as well as we could play over the last couple of, well, over most of this checkpoint, basically. I didn't care for the ultimate into the blizzard, but other than that, it was fine. Yeah, as long as you hit people with Hanzo, you're generally playing about as well as you can play, honestly. Tends to be the thing with, like, snipers in Hanzo's case. So now have a Sombra. May's been shooting at us, so we're kind of looking for her, and we get into... Unfortunately, we don't quite kill her. It would have killed anyone else, because she lived with, like, 5 hit points, so if she didn't have 250 hit points, she would have died. Winston's using his ultimate, which is mighty inconvenient, but he's the only one alive right now, except Sombra, but ooh, no, terrifying. The Sombra that doesn't have a ramp. That does kill the people over there and anybody trying to come out of the spawn. We throw the skill right at, Bash. It's all going very well. The enemy team is kinda helping us at this point, just barely get out of Blizzard. Enemy team's helping us out on this one because, well, we've sort of been fighting, they've just sort of been running at us 1 or 2 at a time for the entire last checkpoint, so it wasn't too much of an issue. It was good that we went looking for the Mei as well when we figured out that she was behind us, because you don't really want a Mei to be behind you, because then she kinda, oh, I remember it like it was yesterday, this play of the game. Because then Mei tends to kill the people in your backline if you don't actually, like, turn around to help. So, that happened. So, seeing as we don't play Hanzo again at any point during this game, I'll answer the question from the email, which is basically just advice on how to use Sonic Arrow. You want to try... We're trying to cheese somebody with Junkrat, by the way. You want to try and position it somewhere that's getting, like, maximum coverage. Because, as well, some people, like... Alright, we want to use it while we're, fighting in the choke point, like at the start of the game, right? Well, just sort of chucking it, like, there, or, like, in the middle there is not very helpful, because, like, it'll only find people that are, like, near the archway, but people tend to be standing further back. So if you can get the arrow, like, there, or, like... I mean, nobody's ever standing on that side. Like, if more people were standing on that side, kind of like there... We want to try and see as much of the enemy team as possible, so, like, I see people, like, chuck it, like, right out here. That doesn't really show you everything that it could show you. You want to throw it, like, further back, so it actually shows you the enemy team. That being said, sometimes you don't want the enemy team to know that you shot the Sonic Arrow, because it does look different to the other arrows, so if they're paying attention, which, I mean, you know... That varies greatly from game to game. If they're actually paying attention, that might kind of ruin your plan. So then you'd want to throw it. You might sometimes want to throw it somewhere where it's more hidden from the enemy team, so that they don't know you've actually shot it. That's a fairly minor thing that might not ever come up, but sometimes it comes up. If you're dueling someone and you're kind of fighting near geometry, like earlier when we were fighting the Mei, kind of up there, that's fine. Because basically you get to win the duel in most cases. This area is a little bit awkward because there's like, they can be coming up at you and then suddenly drop off the staircase, and that can kind of fuck with your math, you know? But if you're fighting, suppose you're in more standard position, suppose you're getting into a duel like over here and you're like ducking in and out of the hallway, and like there's a Genji flipping around and shit. If you just chuck the Sonic Arrow, you basically get to kill Genji, because he's gonna come in to try and get you, and you're gonna shoot him in the face as soon as he comes around the corner. So it's fine to use it in a duel. If you're not using it in a duel, you do want it up as frequently as possible, because it's got a 20-second cooldown, but it lasts for 10 seconds, and the cooldown starts as soon as you fired the arrow. So you can have it up for quite a lot of the game. So if you're anytime you're just like fighting with the enemy team, you want to like just chuck it somewhere that it gives you the maximum coverage of the enemy team, basically. Because then you can use it to just try and pick somebody off. Because having wall hacks is pretty helpful for trying to pick somebody off, especially if you're playing someone like Hanzo. Or if you got like a McCree on your team, or like a Widowmaker as well, God forbid. It helps, because then it makes it easier to just peek a corner and pick somebody off when they're not expecting it. That being said, also, that's sort of been devalued with New Mercy. But, so, if you're not using it in a duel, try and use it for, like, maximum coverage, basically. If you're dueling somebody, it's fine to use it because it should basically be a guaranteed win for the duel, provided you have, like, some geometry to play with. If you don't have, like, corners to peek when you're in the duel, the Sonic Arrow doesn't really do much. But if you're fighting near geometry, then the Sonic Arrow is helpful in a duel. Otherwise, just aim for, like, maximum coverage of the enemy team, and try to have it up, like, very frequently. Because it just makes it... It's just 10 seconds where it's easier to pick somebody off on the enemy team. So someone did step in our cheese, but they didn't die, so we're quite upset about that one. So now we're just going to start playing Junkrat, basically. We've set up some cheese over there. There's, like, 2 lines of thought with the mine. I'm of the opinion that you always want to have your mine on cooldown, because you can just throw it out there to do extra damage to people, quite a lot of damage. And seeing as you can always have one in reserve, I'm of the opinion that as soon as you've got 2 mines, you should be looking to use one of the mines as quickly as possible just to do more damage and get the cooldown ticking, because then you can just throw more mines over the course of a game, which is a lot of basically guaranteed damage. Especially if the enemy team is, like, shield-heavy comp, throwing the mine at the shield breaks it, like, faster. The other line of thought is you do exactly what we do over here, basically. So, use at own discretion. So, we are playing Junkrat, so we basically just want to be as disruptive as possible. That's, if you are gonna do something like that, it's worth noting that if you put the trap too far in a doorway, and then put the mine, like, there, the wall can act as cover and it won't actually hit the person. And sometimes it can get real awkward as well. Suppose, right, you put a mine, like, here, a trap, rather, like, right here, okay? And then you put a mine there. The corner on this doorway can actually block line of sight if the mine is too far forward, even though it's like a centimeter gap. There was a replay we saw of this the other day where someone walked through a doorway and we could see the mine detonate, but because there was like a little wall, it didn't actually hit the person. So you have to remember that sometimes line of sight gets a little bit wonky, so you have to place your mines accordingly so that you actually, like, hit someone with it if they step in your trap. Generally, if there's, like, a little groove around a wall, that can actually fuck with it, so bear that in mind when you are setting up traps, basically. So, we are playing Junkrat, so our general, game plan is basically throw fucking bombs at people, dog. This is not a good maneuver to take because we cut entirely in front of the choke point while we're doing this. And Junkrat's a pretty easy guy to hit. For being a DPS hero, his model is very easy to hit because he's actually quite big. Partly because of the tire and partly just because of his posture. He sort of stands with his arms and legs very far apart, which kind of makes his hitbox bigger. So just cutting in front of the choke point is generally not advisable anyway, so this is not a good maneuver that we make. It makes it easier for us to hit the person, sure, but like we make it easier for us to die also by walking in front of the choke point. Now, as soon as you got the wheel, you are looking to use the wheel as quickly as possible. Because the wheel is basically a guaranteed stagger on the enemy team. Like, you just, anytime. Doesn't even matter if, like, some of them are dead at the time, because you can send the tire over, and then you'll just kill somebody as they're reinforcing. The tire is, like, really strong for its ability. First off, it can just fucking kill the enemy team, yes. If they're coming in, you can use it to, like, kill them as they start trying to engage, but that takes a little bit of foresight. The really strong thing about his tire, as far as I'm concerned, is that, like, at any point in time, you can use it, as long as you didn't just get a team kill, right? Okay. Any other point in time, you can use it, and you stagger the enemy team with the tire. And that's just, then you use your ultimate and you buy your team, like, 15, 20 seconds of time, ideally, right? Which is pretty good when you also consider that the tire builds fucking fast because Junkrat gets to do a lot of AoE damage. Because now his tire actually gets to consistently kill people, suddenly, like, Junkrat's, the fact he does, like, he's always had a problem with, like, consistently killing people. This is better now that he has the mines. But now that his tire just, like, does kill someone because it's so fucking fast, Suddenly, doing a lot of AoE damage but not necessarily killing people doesn't matter anymore, because you still just build your strong ultimate faster. So, as soon as you've got the tire, look to use the tire, because you get... Sometimes you might want to hold it if, like, you're suspecting you're going to use it in a big team fight that might break out soon, but, like, you want to use it as quickly as possible so you can start building the next tire. And the 2 people dead. That's just now, 15-20 seconds where they don't really get to do anything. I mean, this is quick play, so they're gonna try and do stuff anyway. But in normal, like, Roadhog's doing this, right? Like, but under normal circumstances, it's 15-20 seconds where your team, the enemy team, doesn't get to do anything, right? Maybe longer, depending on the map. And if you're attacking as well, like, the tire just kills someone, and if it's like the Numbani, well, fuck, goddamn, that feels bad to be the defending team. So we're running off to try and deal with this Roadhog. We probably don't really need to come and deal with the Roadhog, because Symmetra's on it, she's probably gonna kill him. And because we also leave the choke point, we lose most of our presence over there, and it makes it easier for them to get through. But they're coming through in like 1 or 2 people at a time, so it doesn't end up actually mattering anyway. You're not gonna, like, most circumstances, there's not gonna be a Roadhog behind your team like that anyway, so, you know. We're basically playing Junkrat this entire time. That's why Junkrat's really good against Junkrat as well. It's so easy to break the enemy Junkrat's tire. So, there is a Junkrat behind us. We actually know this because we saw him kill Symmetra's teleporter a while ago, so, like, we could have actually known he was back here for a while. Awareness. First off, we took damage. Walking at the enemy Junkrat through a small hallway is not a recommended course of action. He's thrown the mine on the wall right next to us. That's kind of a blink and you miss it thing, but it's generally not a good idea to walk down that hallway anyway, because you're trying to walk into a Junkrat when you're not at full HP. So, the other cool thing about the tire is if you're in this kind of situation where you're walking back and the fight's kind of going like 50-50, fuck man, we can just send in the tire. And the tire will deal with the problem for us. Look at that, we killed them at Mercy from all the way over here. The fight going quite poorly though, so that isn't actually enough. And we're coming in anyway. It's gone. We shouldn't be over here anymore, because there's no way we defend the checkpoint, basically, and we're fucked. We also then take longer to die, even though we're not... I mean, we fuck up the mine trying to get away, which is unfortunate, but then we drag it out, which is even worse. If you're gonna die, you want to die faster, so that you actually get back to your team faster and can be productive, basically. There was another question in the email, just kind of about Junkrat broadly, but, like, we'll wait till the end of the game for that one, because it's probably gonna be long, incoherent nonsense. Almost got it. Didn't quite get it that time. Unfortunate. Happens. Junkrat is really good against Junkrat for the reason that the mine is, in my opinion, the most consistent way to deal with the tire. This is a trap. This is a dirty trap. We see the exit point of the teleporter right there, and we can see that a fight is happening in the castle. This happens. Don't go through that teleporter. We had the benefit, like, if the kill cam doesn't go quite that way, we don't know that's happening. But if we see that teleporter is, like, almost certainly a trap from that position. We can see Farah trying to do some stuff up there. Amazingly, she didn't actually die, and we get, you know, a Junkrat kill right there. We use our mine to scrape his mine off the wall, which is very awkward indeed. We should, like, give up on that doorway faster, really, because the chances... It's too hard to kill the Junkrat through that doorway, so we're always going to be at a disadvantage in the fight. We could have just gone around to the other doorway faster. We lose this fight regardless. We don't have a tank right now, by the way, which is very bad, as I'm sure everyone is aware. But, so we're gonna lose that checkpoint, so I'm sure no one's great surprise, and we can look at the timeline and go, I wonder how this round goes. Or the remainder of this round, I suppose. And this is why Junkrat's really good against flankers. You don't even have to actually hit the flanker anymore. If you have both of your mines, you kill the fucker. Unless Genji deflects one of your mines at you, in which case you're a very sad man. Because then the mine actually does damage to you. Because it's actually Genji's mine at that point. And this gets really awkward, you know. Fuck you, Genji. Junkrat's really good against flankers for that reason. Also because, you know, just does a lot of AoE damage. Randomly kills tracers frequently. Doesn't quite kill the Orisa because she has Fortify, which is a very sad day indeed. It would almost kill her through Fortify anyway, but not quite enough damage. At full HP, I mean. Can kill Roadhog, but that's a bit of an iffy one as well, seeing as it does 600 damage max. We don't break the tire, but the tire breaks anyway. I mean, basically this entire time we're playing Junkrat, because as long as you're kind of spamming in the general area of the enemy team, you are generally playing Junkrat. Junkrat's one of those heroes that has, like, a pretty low skill floor, but he actually has a surprisingly high skill ceiling. Partly because the mines give him a lot of mobility, which is kind of awkward to use, because, you kind of have to think about it a little bit weird when you're to use the mine as mobility, but now that he has 2, like, he has a lot of mobility. And, you know, he has, like, the projectile weapon, but if you're actually, like, really good at aiming, then you fucking murder people, basically. It's a rare, like, I'm not going to imply he has a skill ceiling that's as high as, like, fucking Widowmaker's, right, or Genji's, but Junkrat has a surprisingly high skill ceiling for how low his skill floor is, and then we get killed by Genji, because Genji's running around with the Dragon Blade. Largely, we're playing Junkrat the entire time. It's not hard to play Junkrat, decently. To play, like, being a really, really good Junkrat is, like, kinda hard, because, you know, fucking math and shit, dog. That was kinda awkward right there. Stolen. Genji was probably really upset about that one. So just like general Junkrat advice, you're just, like, most DPS heroes, you're looking to just do as much consistent DPS as possible. Junkrat in particular, that there should be no point in time where you're not firing, basically. Even if you're walking back to the point, fucking shoot mines and maybe you'll hit someone, right? Because the whole point of Junkrat is you're just trying to do as much AoE damage as possible. And, like, sometimes you randomly kill people, that's cool, because you're doing a lot of AoE damage, that makes it easier for other people on your team to pick someone off. Like, you got a Soldier, you got a Pharah, you got a McCree. If they're just getting hit by Junkrat bombs, that makes it easier for them to kill people. If they have shields, that's your fucking jam right there. You are meant to break those shields and make that man have a sad day. You see a Reinhardt, his shield he better be constantly sad about how low his shield is in HP. They've got an Orisa, break that Orisa shield. That's your job, because you do the most damage to shields of any hero in the game. Except Bastion. So, shields, just do as much damage as possible. All the defense heroes are this way, but Junkrat's thing is also, like, area denial, so you're, like, trying to damage shields, trying to do as much area, you're trying to do as much damage to the enemy team as possible. But basically, you just want to make an area incredibly hostile for somebody to stand in. The first point on Eichenwald is really easy, because, like, the choke point is already really hard to get through. If you got a fucking Junkrat shooting into that area, it's even worse. I'm of the opinion that the strongest, like, defense team you could have on Eichenwald is one tank, Reinhardt, preferably. Like, it has to be a main tank, obviously, but, like, Reinhardt's the best one for this. Reinhardt, or a big tank. Junkrat, instead of having a second tank, you have a Mei. And then you have, like, a McCree or a Soldier. Cause you've got Junkrat doing all this fucking AoE damage in the choke point, which makes it very hostile and hard to walk through. Their shields are always broken. You've got Mei walling people off when they come through the doorway and just, like, splitting the team up. And then you've got the Soldier or the McCree, who is the counter to the Pharah that they will probably have, and then he's just helping pick people off that Junkrat's been hurting. You know, if it's a Soldier, it makes it even harder for barriers to get through the wall, that kind of thing. It's very difficult unless you to break through that, unless you commit really hard to the correct engagement, which most people will not do correctly. We already talked about like little small things, and the other thing is just like use your ultimate as quickly as possible. You're trying to build your ult as quickly as possible, like most heroes are, and then you want to use it as quickly as possible, because it's just a free stagger on the enemy team, and that is, theoretically it's 10 seconds time, but like the actual time someone spends dead and staggered is the time they spend respawning plus the time it takes to walk back. So this is stronger. Like on the first point of Eichenwald, you gain like 15 seconds from killing somebody. But suppose you're defending the first point on Numbani, right? You just kill somebody with a tire. They spend like 20 seconds, I think it was like 22, the attacking team takes to get back if they have no mobility at all. So this is stronger or weaker depending on some maps, but like, the tire is just a free stagger on the enemy team, which is just free time that you have to spend doing nothing because the enemy team can't attack during that time because it's too hard to attack into a disadvantage. So, hopefully that answers your question. If you feel like I didn't answer either of your questions adequately, please let me know, and I'll try to expand further. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.